Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. Now, yesterday we talked about the feast day, we talked about Ember Day. But today we're going to go back to looking at lessons that are assigned for, in this particular case, for morning prayer. And we're going to take a look at the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, the 12th chapter. Now, yesterday's reading from this particular one, St. Paul seems to be a bit of a braggart. He goes on and on about all of his imprisonments and his beatings and all these other things, almost as if he's boasting. And he sounds a bit like a braggart. But he kind of brings it all home in this part of the reading about why it is that this is important and how it is that it has formed and shaped his ministry. And so we're going to go ahead and pick up at, verse number 6. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. I am become a fool in glorying. Ye have compelled me. For I ought to have been commended of you. For in nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. Truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience, and signs, and wonders, and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein ye were inferior to the other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong. So, what's going on here? We don't like the idea of being weak. We want to be strong. We want to be powerful. The world tells us, go out there and look out for number one. Go out and be, all that you can be. And here's St. Paul saying that, in fact, it's in his weakness that he is able to accomplish these things. Why? Well, for one thing, our weakness and our failings remind us to depend upon God. It is God who's doing the good work in Paul's mission and ministry, not Paul. And so it is all of these things he says have happened to him, that long list of things we talked about he talked about yesterday in the reading. We didn't talk about it in the meditation, but you can go back and read chapter 11. That all those things he's talking about, he says not to embarrass them, but to let them know that he's serious and that this is a part of the way in which God has prepared him and strengthened him and equipped him. He has been kind of forged in a fire, and it's a fire of adversity. And yet what he's learned through that is patience and faithfulness. And he has learned, of course, that ultimately God is in charge in all things, even the hard things. And that's a tough lesson for us, that sometimes we need to be humbled in order for us to continue to understand that it is God who's doing the good work through us and not we ourselves. I've mentioned this before, but some of the best advice I've been given early on in my ministry was how important it is that we stay out of God's way. We allow God to work through us rather than us forcing ourselves and letting God know that this is the way he should do it. And so St. Paul says that he had this thorn in his flesh. He had some sort of infirmity, something that was absolutely digging at him. And he asked God to take it away, right? He certainly was praying for other people and miracles were happening. But God saw that Paul, for whatever reason, should continue with it, right? And says to him, my grace, my blessing, that participation in the divine life is sufficient. Right? Even if you have suffering, even if you have physical pain, even if you're persecuted and buffeted and all of those things, that God can work through you. And it's a reminder to you that it's not you who does it, that it's God who's accomplishing this work. So where in your life will you find that being weaker, or as to use a word that's a bit more positive, Meekness will help us to actually get the point along. That you're not putting yourself first and making it about yourself, but you're allowing yourself to be humble enough to have it be God's will and God's work, and that he's using you in whatever way he desires. Today's Thursday, 9 a.m. Mass, Holy Communion at 9 o'clock, followed by benediction. And you can join us here at St. John's for that, or watch us online. And then 5 p.m. evening prayer. And either way, whether you're able to join us or watch online, I hope that you are praying. Spend some time in prayer today. Glorify God. Read sections of the Scripture and come to know Jesus Christ deeper and deeper. He loves you. Let us love him too. May God bless you.